Hello and welcome to the second episode of this podcast. Today I'm recording on an Olympus voice recorder. I jumped out of bed this morning and I just wanted to get up. And that was the early hours of 6 o'clock, which isn't that early. It is a trouble these days because of daylight savings and living, I guess, down south. It's really dark, really early. And if you live up north or up in Queensland, rise and shine, you'll be up, I guess, well before 6 o'clock in the morning. And I feel like that's a healthy way to get out of bed, because right now I just feel like I'm staying in bed for longer, just waiting for daylight. And I like to go to bed early, so that sort of becomes an issue. It is rough. I don't follow daylight savings anymore because I used to live up north and it just doesn't make any sense. I do have to follow the time if I need to go to the shops, and it doesn't really matter. It's not too big of a deal, because usually it's like an hour forward, so it'll be an hour from the time it is now. Everything's usually open by the time we get out of bed, and Bob's your uncle, you're out and you're ready, and it's good to be up early. I can't stay up as long as I used to stay up, but I remember trying to do all-nighters and successfully doing so for a couple of days, a couple of times in my younger life. I was staying up till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Now I struggle to stay up till like 9, 10, 11. And I get tired real easy and early, and I just enjoy getting up and doing things. And I've had friends who, one friend, and they're a couple, they're a unit, and I remember them struggling to get out of bed and be early morning people. And then they slowly started to do it, and I think they're doing it now. But I think it all relates to having children, I suppose. And children like to get up early, and like really early. It depends on how you raise your children as well. Ours just go to bed fairly early and get up early, and we're all active and ready to go. You can usually tell what the weather's going to be like during the day just by looking up. Right now it's probably going to stay windy, as it did yesterday, and the sun will probably come up. I don't see it yet. I think yesterday at this time it was rising, but I think I'm in the wrong location at the moment. I'm thinking I was at higher ground. I am in the woodlands, in a reserve. It's just nice. I'm going to go for a bit of a walk. I've had a long sort of cough or cold. I haven't had many struggles with sickness in the past, but it feels like since I came back from the city, I've just had this long illness, and most of that illness is a cough. And it's sort of started externally, and now I've got some sort of weird internal demonic cough breathing thing. I'm hoping it goes away. I've never stressed about sickness or colds or flus or anything like that. But it does suck when you get it. Right now, you could probably hear the sound of the wind whistling on the microphone. And right now I'm standing in front of a dead tree, and either it has formed like this or someone has set it up like this, but it's sort of like branches on the ground leaning up against this giant log. It's creating like this octopus effect, this spider effect, and it just looks very eerie. It's a nice bit of artwork if you think about it. And if you're erratic like me and you have an addictive personality and you struggle with a lot of stuff, what I find doing sometimes is, if you're focusing on a task, just slap yourself out of it and look in front of you and just wake up and just think and zone out and think again. And just realize you're actually in this world. Because a lot of the time when you're hyper-focused on something, you're really stuck somewhere else and your mind is sort of gone and wandering off. And if you have a good ability to snap out of it, maybe one day you'll wake up and have this epiphany and something will come over you and you'll just change your life in a very dramatic way, whether it's losing weight, being health conscious, or moving house, or leaving toxic environments, or I don't know, whatever it might be. I find it harder to stick to a goal like that if I'm trying too hard to stick to the goal. Most of the time the success comes from happy accidents, and one example is if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're not trying to lose weight, for example, but you want to lose weight, it's always on your mind to be health conscious, and one day you just happen to forget to eat. That's a happy accident, because what your body is going to do and what your brain is going to do is reevaluate the system, and it's going to get into a routine. So on the second day, you might change your habits slightly, or you might forget to eat. Let's hope that the happy accident happens twice, because then your body will go into a better system and a better routine. And it may work, it may not work, it may happen for you, it may not happen for you. But it's worked for me, and my system, all it does is it clicks in, and then it goes, okay, I've been having this every day for breakfast, or I've been eating like this every day. And then your brain might go, oh, okay, I feel like this, or I feel like doing this. And then eventually, with just happenstance and luck and just out of nowhere, you'll become so routine that you'll actually switch into a health conscious person, and everything will work out. I don't know if it's true for everybody, but for me, when I try so hard to become health conscious or get into a new routine that's positive, it's far more difficult, especially if you struggle with addiction or have an addictive personality. And there's always two sides to everything. One, you're addicted to something that's health, so you become extreme about it. Or two, the total opposite, and you just become a junkie for sugar or addictive foods. And it can be difficult. And usually for me, it will come at some sort of accident, some sort of pure luck that I stick to a goal, or accidentally stumble across it, or I'm feeling good a certain day. Planning is pretty hard, but it just depends. Like 10 years ago, in my 20s, early 20s, I had all the energy in the world. It was just easier to just get out and do things. Confidence. I had all the confidence in the world. And not that I don't have any confidence, it's just, it's not just me to think about. If you're in a relationship, for example, it's not just you to think about, you've got to think about other people. And not everyone wants to participate, not everyone wants to do as you want to do. And that's just the hard part of everything. And if you add children into the mix, then it becomes even harder, because you have to set an example and you have to deal with what comes your way with them. And if you aren't on the same channel, then it can be a problem. And that's pretty much it. But for me right now, I'm trying my hardest to say no to certain things when it comes to food, and I'm trying to be health conscious, and I'm not zoning out to anything. I'm just making sure that if my brain wants to eat something silly, that I actually step in and say, no, not happening. I will not be eating this, I will not be doing that. And that's sort of what I'm doing at the moment. And what I have been doing is, I have this problem where I don't like drinking caffeinated beverages, namely coffee. When it's cold, I have this problem where I want to warm up, and so that becomes a comfort drink. And I don't rate coffee highly, but it's quick to become addicted to such a thing. And in the case of me, that's pretty easy to do. And I'm on that path again because it's cold. And for the past 4 days to about a week, I'd say, I've taken milk out of it and I've had a milkless coffee, and it feels good. I mean, yeah, if you order a coffee from the cafe or something like that, you should notice that if you look into it, a large coffee is about 400 calories, and not that you should really be focused on how many calories is in everything, but to me that says there's a lot of fat in it. So when you take that out, not only do you feel a lot better, But yeah, it's just you don't get all those calories, I suppose, and that's what I've been doing. Because I love a good coffee shop coffee, but you know. And also, what it's doing for me is it's helping me wean off it a little bit, because it's bearable enough to drink and get the feelings I get out of it. But it's also horrible enough to actually not drink as much. Maybe having 1 or 2 little shots of that a day is going to benefit the addiction a bit more, or whatever, the habit a bit more than not. So so I recently purchased this camcorder, a Sony, and I bought it off Gumtree, and usually I don't really have a problem with making purchases of second-hand goods, because you can get great deals, and it's a lot cheaper than the new and improved stuff like that. Yes, but I bought this thing, and when it's been cold, the lens has been sort of rattling and shaking, vibrating, and the motor inside, I think, is buggy, and the autofocus plays up a little bit, because the autofocus on these, well, I don't know if it's got to be the same with DSLRs or something like that. I don't know how they work, but the autofocus on this, there's a little motor inside, and that, you know, works together with the system and then autofocuses, and when it's cold, that's been playing up. So I tried to unscrew the camera, and I broke a few things, and now that's in the shop, and yeah, I mean, I'm now looking to get the camera put back together, because the bloke said it would cost over $1,000 just to get the lens sorted out. Yes, but I don't know. I like that camera. It's nothing too fancy. It's 10 years old. It's 4K. It reminds me of what I used to use at school, with all the buttons of the white balance and shutter and iris, what's the other one, aperture, and all the little buttons at the side of the camera and on top and everywhere. It's just fun. The quality's not like 1,000% great. I mean, compared to the DSLR I have, you could probably match it up and be great, but it's just to feel a little bit, you know, more professional in a way. But anyway, I don't do nothing fancy with it. But this audio podcast right now, if I can call it that, it's more like a therapy session for myself, so I could talk out into the world. At the moment, it's just an audio one, and I'm thinking of just maybe doing it in this format where I use my little recorder, because I can't use my other microphone at the moment, and add HD images into a timeline, but reduce it, downscale it into like a 4:3 old camcorder looking video. So I don't know, I like that weird eerie feeling, but you know, old school, but that's mainly because I'm just waiting for this camera to be done, but it takes a lot of data and storage to actually use it, so it's not great. It uses these little, they're called QXC cards, which is an older sort of above SD card chip, and it doesn't take long to fill a 64 gigabyte card. I think I'd say I got 24 minutes for it if I set it to the highest resolution, which is 4000 by whatever, the 3000 something, I don't know, 2000 something, making it 4K. There is another format I could set it in, which would allow me to run at 70 minutes each, but I'm having trouble with corrupt files in Premiere, so I don't know yet. Yeah, so that's in the shop. Usually I'm able to repair something like that, but it looked far more complicated than the old school VHS camcorders, where you just take out a couple of screws and then you have access to everything. Anyways. Now, let's listen to the sounds of nature again. As I wander off and become in search of something that I had out here for a brief moment, and because I'm hyper-focused on the conversation, I am forgetting where I'm going. But now I do see the yellow Yoki sun. I don't know if it's becoming clouded or not. Right, I'll be more in tune with the conversation in a few moments. Okay. I used to have a lot of content on hard drives, and by content I mean about 10 years ago plus. I used to film a lot of random stuff with friends and by myself, but those hard drives pretty much got destroyed. And I don't know how long you have before you have to get a data recovery center to actually recover everything, but I don't know, I'm not made of money, so I went on this weird, I don't know, I mean, it's not really weird, it's something that I put into consideration, and that was to wipe myself from existence, and I'd love to still do that. Basically become so off the grid that no one knows who or what I'm doing, and that's becoming harder because of things like this, where I like to have fun and talking to a microphone, or I don't know, reveal myself, or I don't know. So in the past I deleted a lot of emails and got rid of all my CDs, DVDs of all the stuff I filmed when I was a kid, and then that got destroyed. And then hard drives became broken, which had those backups on it. Right now I have nothing. And I used to do a lot of random stuff. And I'll try to describe the stuff I used to film when I was younger. And I used to film anything. I'd watch movies and I'd imitate and try to make the film structurally sound, or whatever you call it. And a couple of things I did. One was a movie called Killer Santa. It's like a 20-minute film that I made with my family about this Santa Claus that would kill people, and some of the stuff was based on the movie Scream and slasher film and whatnot. And that was about 20 minutes long that I think I did in high school. And another one was called Mental 212, which was sort of not based on Jackass or anything like that, but it was just a bunch of content of me being a spastic with music over the top. So like, I try to do sketches, skits and things like that at home, and be an absolute mental case at that in high school. And little films too, like I'd watch the movie Saw and I'd do parody of the movie Saw. What else? I'd create music videos. This was in high school. There was one film that we tried to make when my mum wrote a script for it, and it was like a 40-minute film. It was about a haunted mansion, and it was so terrible that it would just look like a long audition tape. I didn't know what I was doing. I was about 15, 16, and that was my first ever like long film, and that will be online somewhere. It was terrible, but it was actually sort of structured like a film, and I actually got actors for that, or my family got them, or I don't know whatever. I had to have help directing it because I didn't know what I was doing, and help filming it because I didn't know what I was doing, but I edited that. And that was when I was younger, so if I had stuck to being motivated, I might have actually made a full-length film by now that might have been decent, but didn't end up happening. I had a lot of motivation when I was in high school. Those early years, I was learning how to do special effects back then, so using After Effects when it sort of, I don't know if it was new, but whatever. Learning heaps of tutorials based on that and becoming very hyper-focused on effects, and I was getting quite alright at it. And yeah, I suppose I could have made a film by now. Could have made a successful, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. But I did when I was younger. It's hard to make a 20-minute film, but when I was younger I did it. I just went for it. Spent all my time doing it and did it a few times, and that was great. I want to try and describe what it was like living up north, up in Queensland. Now it's humid over there, and it's daylight almost by 5 in the morning. I guess that's far north, and I'm talking in Cairns. Now, for anyone who's ever been in Cairns, you might know what I'm talking about, and for anyone who hasn't, you will think it's some sort of wonderland, because it is weird. Now, whatever you've seen on the TV of all these fancy places, that's sort of like that, but sort of not like that. It's sort of like a Hollywood type feeling, just based off of television. It's like a bizarro land. When you first pass through Townsville, you start to know that you're becoming closer to this wonderland. It's surrounded by rainforests and lush everything, and then you enter this place known as Cairns, and all the roads seem nicer than the ones in Victoria, where all our roads are just smashed in and potholes everywhere. This was like, I think from memory, smooth roads, and everything seemed very clean and looked after. Everyone's driving is very different, so you adopt a different sort of driving habit. They don't spend too much time waiting around, so when we're in roundabouts in Victoria, a lot of people sit around waiting for the car. No, they teach you that you go, you don't wait, and you learn driver behaviour, and you just go, and the mentality is go, go, go. I don't think there's much room for like the average Joe to live there, I suppose. But I mean, it's not that, maybe nowadays, but it's sort of like weans out campers, and it doesn't really have that sort of feeling where you're invited as a camper or anything like that. Lots of apartments everywhere, lots of duplexes everywhere. It's like the suburbs, but it's not like some sort of fancy city. But it's very hard to describe. Lots of mountains everywhere. Very humid, as I said earlier. We went at a good time, so it was in like June. Nice and sunny every day. It makes you want to get out there, and then you get out there. Lots of different areas that connected to one. So there is outer suburbs, inner suburbs. But it's just, I don't even know. It's a different. It's a 180. If anyone ever dare go there from Victoria or other states that don't have that same familiar feeling, it's very much the opposite to here, where we're cold and our weather's just like confusing all the time, and our bushland is just like, I don't know, very basic. Very desert-like down here. Whereas up there it's very green all the time, and it's humid all the time. A great place if you want to go and lose weight, I suppose. I'm trying to visualize it a bit more. It's not like a deserted place. It is a city suburban area. It has fast food and things like that. It is the same as everywhere else, but the scenery in the area is very much different to Victoria, and even so different to Gippsland area as well, I would say. It's different, and you'll see sugarcane plantations over there, and I don't know, banana. There's people selling bananas at the side of the road, and there's just lots of palm trees, and it's sort of a bizarro world, it feels like, when you're over there. And back when we were there, the rentals were average, just like down here. average price, but now I think it's sort of gone up dramatically, but no more different than here. I mean, if I was anyone else, I would venture up there. I wouldn't stay down here. If you're looking to be in a positive environment, I would leave your Melbourne home and go straight there, and you probably won't regret it if you like the suburbs and like the city. It has everything all in one, and it's all interconnected, and you are within 10 minutes of the city, even if you're out a little bit into the suburb. I haven't experienced the train services or anything like that. I never dived deep into the bus service over there either. But for us, where we were well within 10 minutes of the city. So imagine being in the outer suburbs, like in Dandenong or southeast or wherever you might be in Melbourne, and it being like half an hour to the city or 40 minutes to the city. No, I think it's all connected to the point where like the 20-minute outer suburb is like a nice beach, or I don't even know, like Sky Rail. They have Sky Rails over there. And something that's 40 minutes away is like, I don't even know how to describe it without naming it. Yeah, I don't know, but hopefully, because I get what I mean. If you're like me, you will instantly find it, well, maybe not instantly, you will definitely find it a bizarro world. I wouldn't say it's very different, but I would say it's very different because it's not filled with trams and it's not chaotic. And the city isn't I don't think it has trams. I'm pretty sure it didn't. The city isn't like a crazy city. You're right next to the beach, and I don't know, it's just a bizarre world. It's like its own little thing, and it's great. If you want to get away, I reckon that's a go-to place. If you like all walks of life and you want to have a holiday, I think that's a perfect place to go. And living there makes you feel like you shouldn't live there, and that's how I felt. Just a weird place. And then the more, I guess, south you come back down towards New South Wales, I guess it just becomes hotter and drier, and I guess the sun is sort of like a sting, and now that's sort of what we got now. The sun is a sting during summer. But in their summer they have a wet season where it's not cold, I don't think, but it's just like it's raining all the time, and it sort of floods the area, I guess. One thing that was described by someone I know up there, they describe leaving their house as creating an environment for mould, because it's so humid up there and you're not living in that space. They left for about a week, and pretty much when they got back, the place was full of mould because it's so humid. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they have to clean all the time. I don't know what the drill is. maybe maybe there's more to it than that, I don't know. And I'm not sure if it's the same in Victoria, but over there you have to pay a body corporate for living in an apartment, even if you own the apartment or a duplex or whatever it might be. You have to pay, I don't know if it is rates or if there's rates and a body corporate. I think there's two, so it becomes like a rent, which is just the worst, because you can pay over 150,000 for the apartment, which sounds good, right? But then you're paying rent, so it's like living in a caravan park. You can purchase, except a little bit different, you can purchase a property or a building or a house or whatever at a caravan park, but you still have to pay them rent. And with caravan parks, you're only allowed to stay there for a certain amount of time, I think. But I don't know if you can actually organise with a caravan park to actually stay there full time. I don't know how it works, but my understanding that if you own something at a caravan park, you're paying rent and also have a certain amount of days that you're allowed to stay there. So yeah, so I'd say that Cairns is like very much a 180 to Victoria and even New South Wales. I didn't spend that much time in New South Wales. It was like brief, like a couple of stops we had to stay in. Yeah, it wasn't that long in New South Wales, but I would personally say that Cairns is its own little thing. It's funny just to stand in one spot in this reserve and immediately look around, and then it feels like I'm really like on a slant, and then I'm looking up, which is probably accurate. I'm probably at the bottom end, but right now as I stand, it sort of feels like it's on a huge lean, or it looks like it's on a huge lean. Like, so I look behind me and it looks like it's going further down, and then, yeah, I don't know. I think I might be losing my mind, but that's a different thing. So I don't know what the day brings today. I'm not too sure. I have this habit of I either like going out a lot or I don't want to go out at all. Mainly because I live rural, so going out a lot is fuel consumption high, you know, and then it comes down to spending money as well. And that's just not a great thing. Now I walk along just to figure out where I'm going at the moment. Not much is happening today, so I might end this at about 40 minutes. Probably talked trash for about that long, so I'm going to call it. And for anyone listening, thank you for listening, and hopefully it is better conversation next time. Goodbye.